Frequently, the use of an impact tool is not necessary for stamping of the first row. Just the weight of the mechanic walking upon them is sufficient. As stamping progresses, you'll need to lightly tamp with the impact tool. Carefully lifting one corner of the tool will allow you to see the depth of the impression. Stronger stamping will probably be necessary toward the end of the job. As each row is stamped, the tools are removed and replaced onto the following roll. If a border is used, such as we're doing here, it should be stamped at the same rate of progression as the field, so that the continual curing of the slab doesn't prevent a clean imprint. Once again, don't forget to use shields when broadcasting the release agent onto the border. Now the stamping is completed, and this is a good time to clean the tools, since the concrete will need to set a little more before any necessary touch-ups are attempted. The consistency of the slab is such that we can now proceed with touching up any irregularities in the stamped surface. If, for example, a grout line is indistinct or inconsistent, we can correct it by using a wide hand tool. Any holes or honeycombing present in the slab may be corrected by applying a slurry mix of color hardener and water. Once the slurry mix is set, dust with release agent and apply texture to this. Use the thin texture skin that is available from SuperStone to match the pattern you're using. Since the stamped slab now needs to properly cure before the final steps, let's move to our second slab. The only difference between this and the slab we've just stamped is that this slab has been designed with a step and a cantilever edge, both of which will show you how to color, stamp, and properly finish. It's important to remove the forms at the proper time. If the slab has not cured long enough, sagging may occur. If the forms are removed too late, it can become difficult to stamp. Here we're removing the stakes, and we see that the concrete has set enough for us to continue. The stamping tools are laid out as we did on the preceding slab, but as you approach the step, it's likely that there won't be room enough to place a normal tool. In this case, we're using a flex mat, or thin flexible tool, which permits us to texture right up to the edge of a step, wall, column, or any other vertical surface. The color is applied to the face of the step by mixing color hardener and water to a plaster-like consistency, then plastering it onto the riser. Once all vertical areas have been plastered, broadcast the release agent in the same manner as a horizontal application. The vertical stamping is done with a flex tool, tamping lightly so that the setting of the concrete is not disturbed. Lightly roll the tool over the top edges to produce a clean, natural effect. When stamping the top of the step, take care not to exert enough pressure to fracture the edge of the riser. Once again, the use of the wide hand tool will serve to further define the grout lines, especially at the riser tread interface. Returning to the first slab, we've allowed 3 days for proper setting of the pigment. So now it's time to remove the excess release agent from the surface. This may be done by pressure cleaning or blowing, brooming, and rinsing, as we're doing here. By using a pressure cleaner with approximately 2000 psi, you can control the amount of release washed off and obtain the desired contrast of the antiquing effect. Now, the surface has been allowed to dry completely, and we're applying the first coat of SuperStone Clear Sealer. Note how the color springs to life, and the texture immediately appears deeper. SuperStone Clear Sealer may be rolled, sprayed, or brushed at a coverage rate of 150 to 250 square feet, depending on the surface texture. When the first coat has dried sufficiently, apply the second coat of SuperStone Clear Sealer. When a slip-resistant surface is desired, add Super Grip to the second coat of sealant, following directions on the label. Let's take a look now at the beautiful results of our labors here. Keeping in mind that pedestrian traffic should not be allowed on the sealed surface for a minimum of 24 hours and no vehicular traffic should be permitted for at least 48 hours. keep rubber-tired vehicles off the surface for a minimum of 72 hours. Remember, there's a right way and a wrong way to do the job. Doing it the right way the first time with state-of-the-art SuperStone products eliminates costly callbacks and promotes optimum customer satisfaction, resulting in higher profits from referrals. SuperStone, spanning nearly 5 decades of providing you with a one-stop source of the highest quality decorative concrete products, service, and innovations in the industry today. And just as close to you as your fax or phone. SuperStone.